and for our way of life. Now, as General Patton once suggested, rather than think only of the loss of our fallen heroes, we should be thankful that such people lived. I think we should also be thankful for the privilege to have known them and to have been blessed by their sacrifice. To our fallen brothers and sisters in arms, to their friends, to their families, let us remember.
Thank you, Colonel. You still had some time left on that 5 minutes. It's your turn now, Tim. As many of you know, Mayor Keller is homegrown. He's a graduate of the University of Notre Dame. Go Irish. Mayor Keller has served in the New Mexico Senate and as state auditor, and probably some other things that I haven't written down. But I'd like to introduce our mayor, Tim Keller.
Well, good morning, Albuquerque.
Good morning.
Today I want to start by also acknowledging Ken O'Keefe. Ken, I've listened to you, I think, ever since I got into my public service at these events, and I learn and I appreciate all that you do for our city and our community every time, more and more. Thank you so much, Ken. Let's give it a hand. Colonel Gibbs, commander of our Air Force Base Wing, and all our folks from Kirtland Air Force Base for hosting this ceremony, and everyone who works at the city of Albuquerque. I appreciate all your effort for making this event a reality. Also, there are dozens of volunteers who help make this facility what it is, and I want to thank them as well. I also want to acknowledge, I believe we have our former mayor, R.J. Berry, in the audience. R.J., are you still with us here? R.J., thank you for all your service for our city. You know, Mayor Berry was a tremendous supporter of veterans and all the things we have to do in our community for veterans, and I'm proud to say that it's an area for me that was easy to transition into, and so I appreciate all his work for this community. Now, distinguished guests, veterans, active duty, families, Gold Star mothers, I want to share with you a couple of thoughts on this Memorial Day. Firstly, we are gathered here in a special place. This facility, as many of you know, contains memorials for most of our conflicts. It contains these beautiful grounds. It is something special that I hope by the end of my work as your mayor, every child in Albuquerque has the opportunity to visit and to learn from and to reflect in. This is a tremendous facility. It's actually the envy of other states and other cities. They visit Ken and they want to understand how to copy it and how we put it together. And so this is one of the true gems, and I'm proud to have it in Albuquerque.
Amen.
Now today, we pause as a city from our trips to Lowe's and to Home Depot for the barbecues, the soccer games, all the things that come to mind for many folks who have not served in the military or do not have family members in the military when we think of Memorial Day. But today we pause as a city to honor the sacrifice across the generations of those who've given the ultimate sacrifice for our country. And I believe that as we gather here to remember, we should take nothing for granted. As we do those things, whatever we're doing this afternoon, celebrating with family, it is, I believe, in many ways, part of our duty to remind folks exactly what Memorial Day is all about. And for me, this became very clear. I was actually in the state senate, and an 8th grader came up to me in the roundhouse. It was an 8th grader from Van Buren, actually, and they said, "Senator, why can't you change the national anthem to America the Beautiful?" And first I had to explain that, state senators don't change national anthems. That was sort of one discussion. But I thought about it a little bit, and it's actually something that folks have asked me from time to time, and I know has even come up in our national debate. And I think in Memorial Day, it's important to reflect on why that is the case, and I think everyone here knows this. But we've got to understand that while that is a beautiful song, and it's very special, our country didn't get to where it is today through a gradual unfortunately, peaceful process. We didn't get here today with some sort of evolution of just ideas. We got here today because we overcame adversity. We stood up for what's right. We fought time and time again against the odds for what we believe. That is what our national anthem is all about. That's what we honor today on Memorial Day. So I want to ask at this point our family members, because that sacrifice, as everyone knows who served in the military had families, that sacrifice is not just borne by the individuals, it's borne by the families. And if folks are here, I think probably most of the folks in this room, if you have a family member in the military, friend in the military, someone who you care about who's in service now, please go ahead and stand up. Let's acknowledge each other for coming today and sharing and remembering what Memorial Day is all about. Today we acknowledge that we were born as a nation, and we continue to exist when called upon through abrupt conflict, through a call to arms to stand up for our freedoms as the basis of our nation. And as your new democratically elected mayor, I get to stand here because over the arc of time, millions of Americans have made that solemn choice, the choice to put their country ahead of themselves. It is through these heroes and their sacrifices that the pursuit of happiness and the freedoms that we enjoy continue to endure. Our service members come from all backgrounds, all walks of life, and they share fundamental qualities: courage, selflessness, dedication, service to a cause larger than oneself. And today we reflect upon those lives lost, and we celebrate those treasured memories. For the family members who just stood up, who we just acknowledged, we know that not a day goes by without each one of you thinking of the loved one that you lost and how much you miss them. But it's your strength, it's even your presence here today that carries on that memory, that is a light that shines on this day of remembrance, on this day of memorial, a notion that helps us persevere as a community and as a country through difficult times. Now, our city of Albuquerque is indeed in many ways a modern incarnation of all that we reflect on in Memorial Day. It's a day of family. It's a day for me, even in my own family, as I reflect on how I even got here to be your mayor, to even live and grow up in Albuquerque. For me, being born and raised here, it's an honor for me to wear an Army green lapel pin, the choice my father made to serve our country. And for my family, like so many in Albuquerque, military service is a huge reason to why we are even here, to why this neighborhood even exists. It was about 50 years ago, a young ROTC graduate from the University of Notre Dame was finishing his tour in the Army. He made a choice. Like many of the individuals here today, like many of the families, despite a family on the way and career uncertainty, he was in the Army ready to be deployed to Vietnam. Nonetheless, that call never came for my father. Instead, he came to the Southwest, to a city where he could continue to serve in the reserves, where he could find a military community that was thriving, where he could live in a neighborhood right next to the base that was actually called military housing at that time. My father stayed here, like so many people in Albuquerque, because of that initial introduction through military service, and because of all that our city has to offer. And in fact, his story is the story of almost a quarter of the people who live in Albuquerque, whether indirectly providing professional services to our Air Force Base, to our labs, or they're directly through a connection to public service. A huge part of why we are here as a city and what modern Albuquerque is all goes back to that ultimate choice to serve our country. And so this story comes right back to our military, to that commitment to service, to that ultimate choice, and it's what we reflect on here today. Today I believe that we owe more than acknowledgement for this, and even more than gratitude. What I must do as your new mayor is to step up with action to help those who have served our country. The best way I can honor soldiers we have lost is to take care of those still with us, those still fighting for us, those still making that choice, and their families that support them. And that's what I will continue to do in City Hall. And I'm asking our community to come together as one Albuquerque to help us do this. We started by hiring a full-time veterans liaison in the city of Albuquerque, and we've had them in the past under Mayor Barry, and I'm proud to say we have them again. And I want to introduce Thomas Tozier, 3 tours of duty. He is now our city of Albuquerque veterans liaison. Thank you, Thomas, for your service to our country, and also now to your service to our city. Also in Albuquerque, we are working to support veterans when it comes to all our integration projects, whether it's Desert Forge or the Veterans Integration Center. We are trying to utilize our veterans procurement preference to help veterans when it comes to entrepreneurship and finding jobs. And we're connecting the story that we're telling today to our children by hopefully having after-school programs here at this facility in the next coming years. And I want to thank our city councilors for voting for the funding to do just that last Monday. Thank you for enabling our kids to appreciate our service and our facilities. And lastly, we are expanding our homeless and mental health services, our PTSD programs, and our programs that hopefully one day will make Albuquerque a place where not a single veteran is on the streets. That's right. That should never happen in our city. And so today I want to thank you for the opportunity to share a few words as your new mayor, to remember and to reflect, and for the opportunity you've given me to stand up for the sacrifices that so many have made, so that we can make this city all that it is today and all that it can be in the future. Thank you, Albuquerque. Thank you, veterans. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay. We'll now have the presentation of memorial wreaths. If the honor guard would come down and take their places, I hope you know what we're talking about. Yeah, here they come. All right. We didn't rehearse this, so we'll fly by the seat of our pants.
We have a wreath up there, guys, so just so you know. Everyone doesn't have a force.
First, the American Legion Post 49. VFW Post 401 Auxiliary. American Veterans Post 7. Sounds funny to say that. I think it's AMVETS makes more sense. Military Order of the Purple Heart. Blue Star Mothers. United Veterans Council. Air Force Association. Daughters of the American Revolution. American Legion Auxiliary. Catholic War Veterans. Veterans of Foreign Wars, Post 401. Gold Star Mothers. Tribute to women in the military. And the New Mexico Veterans Memorial. At this time, I would like you to come forward and get a flag from one of the buckets. One for family only, please. Take them home and display them. And I trust you all got lyrics to the song. If you didn't, wave your hand, maybe somebody will share. Come on down and get a flag, guys.
Maybe I'll take one when next time I go down to Dad's.